Today's topic is
Games Workshop and your last chance to watch.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to WAYPN. I'm Cal.
And I'm Sunny.
From the release of this video, it is your last chance to watch these lore videos on this channel
Before they become members-only videos.
Wait, Sunny, isn't that just FOMO like Games Workshop uses with their last chance to buy?
Yes, a little bit, but ours is a little bit different. WAYPN is changing, and we're no longer going to have lore content on What Are You Painting Now?
We're going to be starting a new channel for lore exclusively.
But you want to hear about Games Workshop, FOMO, and Kickstarters.
Sunny, what even is FOMO?
FOMO is fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out is a well-known sales tactic. Essentially, it's employed to make you want to buy it right now, because if you don't, you're never ever going to be able to get it.
Games Workshop employs this on both ends, with pre-orders and with last chances to buy.
This is a fear-based sales tactic. The reason why it is employed is because it hits our primal urges. If we don't get this thing now, we'll never get it. And that is inbuilt in us to pursue this. Why? Because during harsher times like the winters, we know that you only have certain opportunities to get things. So our brains are hardwired to respond to the fear of missing out.
But Cal, didn't you say that you wanted to replace the Tuesday lore videos with GW News, what's being talked about in the community, things that people might want to have more information about, and Kickstarters? Which, coming to the point, isn't FOMO and Kickstarter kind of the same thing?
Well, yes and no. So when it comes to Kickstarters, they're very different to pre-orders. With pre-orders, all of the stuff is already made. You know how much you've got, and essentially what you're doing is driving the fear into customers saying, if you don't buy this, you don't get this ever again.
So the difference is that with pre-orders, let's say GW makes 10 box sets, you have to pre-order to reserve your slot to get one of the 10.
Yeah, that's right.
And with Kickstarters, you're basically putting money down for a product that you may or may not get.
In the absolute worst cases, you're right. You don't know whether you're going to get the product or not. But we're going to talk about that in depth a little later. How Kickstarters work is you fund them before the product is made.
Okay, but what's the benefit of doing that?
Well, on the company side, you know the absolute minimum order when it comes to what you're producing. So you know that people want this product, but some people may not want the product from Kickstarter. They might be like, all right, Kickstarter might give us 90% of our sales in terms of smaller companies. And I know this because I've talked to some people who have used Kickstarter.
And these people were actually industry professionals.
That's right, but it really truly depends on the size of the company. Smaller companies, that might be how it is for them. But with larger companies, this just gives them the initial base to get them kickstarted.
So what are the benefits consumer side?
The benefits consumer side is a thing called stretch goals. Now, for anybody who has used this is all information that you already know. So forgive me for going through it. But essentially, the more you support, the more stretch goals you get. And I actually think the Games Workshop should use this model.
So what you're saying is you get extra product for supporting more?
Not just you, but the consumers as a collective. So the more they raise, the more stretch goals they hit, the more benefits you get.
But wouldn't that cost the companies more and more and more?
Well, when it comes down to it, the thing is that mass production is what makes things viable. The more you can make of a product, the cheaper it is.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
This system has a reciprocal consumer and company relationship. It turns every customer into an evangelist because they go, all right, I want there to be more sales so that I get more stuff. And the company goes, all right, I want to give my consumers more things because then they will evangelize my product more.
So instead of using fear as the tactic, it's more like encouraging as the tactic?
Yeah, it's more hope-based sales marketing.
That makes sense. Wait a minute, wouldn't that make some consumers have the fear of not reaching the stretch goals?
Yeah, you're not wrong, but it's completely different. They've already got what they came for, and they're missing out on an extra. So they're not missing out on the core product that they were promised.
Right, okay, I understand now. But Cal, there is one caveat. Kickstarter operates in a legal gray area, and I mentioned before that some people may not get the product.
Yes, okay, so Kickstarter is a facilitator. They don't actually make or produce anything themselves. They connect consumers with companies. So there are absolutely fair cases where some people just haven't gotten their product. For example, I believe at the moment the Stellaris board game is in limbo, but then there are unfair cases. As an example, the Kingdom Death Monster Kickstarter, where they said that they were going to have a very long time frame for delivery, and then COVID hit. So they already had that long delivery time and it stuffed it up even further. And then the poor bugger's mum died, and like that's got to be devastating.
Yeah.
And this is the issue with Kickstarter. So he's made a whole company, but if he disappears tomorrow, I don't think that Kingdom Death survives it.
Okay, so if GW were to adopt the Kickstarter model, how would it look like?
Well, I think that we've already seen a lot of companies use Kickstarter directly, like Simon or Cool Mini or Not. Now, there's a cavalcade of companies that I could use as an example, but I think the thing that Games Workshop should do is things that other companies have done to varying levels of success, which is have their own in-house Kickstarter. This means that they wouldn't have to pay up 10% to the big guy. They just have to make their own stuff, and then they're fine.
But Games Workshop isn't exactly big on discounts.
No, Games Workshop is notoriously tight, and it can be extremely frustrating because it is the number one problem I have with this hobby and getting people into this hobby.
In fact, their prices go up every year.
But let's say they don't even discount it. What they can do is they can say, we will add extra things into this box set if there are X amount of purchases. Now, maybe the first 100,000 mark and that don't get you something that great. Maybe extra dice in the box, things like that. Nothing to write home about.
But at 1 million, you could get an extra sprue of 10 termagants.
And the reason why people would support this is because that would be an extra sprue of 10 termagants for everybody who buys the box. Not just the pre-order people, but everybody who would buy the box from now until the end of time.
And this incentivizes people to buy the product rather than fear missing out on it.
And the other part of that is it turns all of those people who have made a purchase into evangelists.
But Cal, there's got to be a reason why they're not doing this.
Yeah, I think that
I can think of one.
Oh, yeah? All right, tell me.
I think it's because this might reveal exactly how many people are buying the boxes or not buying the boxes.
Yeah, but I don't see how that is a massive problem.
There's a theory going around that the only reason that this game is going on for as long as it is because of whales. And if people find out that maybe the number of people actually playing the game is less than what it seemed, then maybe they'll get disenchanted and stop playing the game.
Yeah, I've heard this theory before, and the theory that the problem with scalpers is a feature, not a bug for Games Workshop, not for us.
Yeah.
Well, there is a way that Games Workshop could do this system without revealing that. They could just simply not have the counter of how many supporters there is on this.
And we do think that they should remove these counters.
From the corporate point of view, because when we do these sorts of things, we always look at it from the corporate point of view, because if we look at it purely from the consumer point of view, nothing will ever change.
But Cal, there's also something else to consider. Games Workshop is not Kickstarter. They're an established company, and if they don't produce what they say they will produce, there will be a lot of hot water poured on top of them.
You're just saying that they're going to get into a lot of trouble if they can't fulfill their promises.
Yep.
All right, I think that that is an issue as it stands anyway. But with this, you will at least know the minimum number of orders that you have to fulfill. And if you include shops as a part of this, make sure that they got to verify and whatever, and they can get at a reduced price compared to the regular consumers. That way, Games Workshop knows exactly how much they have to produce, at least, at minimum.
Yeah, that seems fair, but won't there be people who will hate on them even if they're doing well?
Well, the problem with Games Workshop is they've attracted a lot of haters as well as a lot of simps. And essentially, when it comes to things like this, all of the simps will be like, oh, this is the best idea ever. Games Workshop knows how to do it right. And the haters will be like, Games Workshop is the worst. It won't matter what they actually do.
Fair enough.
And don't forget, guys, this is your last chance to watch those videos for free. And as always, remember to keep those brushes wet. Bye-bye. If you really love those lore videos, keep a lookout on your dashboard because you might see something very similar coming out soon.
Yeah. Well, he meant to say feed, but you get what we're talking about.
I thought that thing is called the dashboard.
No, it's called your feed.
I'm sure it's called the dashboard.
It's called the feed.
Anyway, if you like those lore videos, look out for some familiar looking thumbnails.
Yeah.
And if you see them, please check them out, and we'll be doing different lore videos in addition to the ones that we have already done.
Some of you have asked for us to do like more lore basics, like for example, what are space marines, on top of our more analysis style lore videos. So
we already have a video
Yeah.
finished actually, which is what is the Badab War and why is it so darn popular?
yeah, so that's going to come out on this new channel, so keep a lookout.
We hope you have a fantastic week, and we hope that you will join us on this new adventure.
See you guys then.